his son lives abroad. And when they went to a entry point getting off the flight, they were to compulsorily show if they had vaccinated themselves. He showed his phone, Jaishankar showed his phone, saying, yes, my certificate is here, have a look at it. And his son, who's living abroad, took out his purse and folded the paper out and, yes, my paper, that's my certificate. Vaccination certificate is on the phone. No other country had it. I mean, so what? You would say, so what? The point is that wherever possible digitizations can happen, that's been taken, and that CoWIN app is now available as a public good. Nobody's going to charge, anyone can use it. We are now willing to share it even with some countries in Africa and many others who want it. So create a public good, and that is why even today UPI is also a public good. We don't charge anything for anybody who's using it. So creating public assets for common good. A classic example is what Prime Minister Modi has shown in India. Now, of course, you have P.V. Sindhu writing about how youth view Prime Minister. You have Anupam Kher writing about why people trust Modi. And that is because of that trust today, till 22 years, nobody is able to challenge him politically. A clean, selfless, corruption-free government he's given us. This country, 2013-14, I used to dread, I was a spokesperson for the party, I used to dread, yesterday I finished doing all the homework for a particular scam, now I can go and blast them. But this morning there would be a new one. And I used to say, oh, no, I don't have the time to prepare on this scandal. That was the kind of frequency with which scams were happening in 12, 13, 14, scandal after scandal after scandal. People were fed up. But after Modi came, tell me, 8 full years today, I'm not even talking about the term he had in Gujarat as Chief Minister. After he came as Prime Minister, have we had anyone even carelessly attempting to accuse there was a corruption here? No, no one has the courage. No one has the courage even to whisper corruption under Prime Minister Modi. So that's the clean government he's given us. You also, of course, have people, two very important people who worked with him. Nripendra Mishra ji, who was working with him very closely, who now takes care of Ram Mandir, Ayodhya, who's seen administration in his entire career as a UP cadre officer and then came to the center. He's seen how administration works. He tells us how Modi, layers after layers, builds reforms. And no one action is disjointed. It's not as if he does one thing here and that's it. No, that's part of another chain. That's part of another chain. So going like that, he builds the entire pyramid. So the bottom is wide, then it goes up to the top. Similarly is Ajit Doval, the National Security Advisor, who's written about how on strategic matters, Prime Minister gives him time, thinks about things which have to be done. Today, India is taken very seriously in strategic matters. We are now part of the Indo-Pacific, not just the Indo-Pacific Quad, but also Indo-Pacific Economic Forum. These are not places, these are high table where people are invited because of the way in which you govern, bring stability and policy consistency. Modi ji has taken us to those leagues. Everything that is Indian, he finds a slot internationally. Look at the way yoga became a global thing. Everybody is talking about yoga. Systematically taken it through the UN and made it acceptable to everybody. Similarly, 2016-17, I think we made sure that Indian farmers are recognized for growing millets in India. It's grown in dry land. Lands don't have irrigation, not fertile land, but they're capable of producing surgham, the jowar, ragi, all other millets. a year was celebrated in India, 16 I think, Year of Millets. But he didn't let it go there. Year of Millets now is at a UN level, and next year, 2023, is going to be the International Year of Millets. And why is it important for India? Why is it important for India? We are one of the highest millet growing countries, second largest millet exporting countries. Now, if you're looking at farmers, he doesn't stop by saying, I've given them 6,000 rupees every year. I've also said Annajata Urja Data, so he can have solar panels in the hedges of his land. I'm also giving him cheap fertilizer. Even though I import fertilizer, I'm giving them at a very, 1/10 of the cost. He's not stopping at that. He's bringing credit to the Indian farmers who even in harsh environments is producing what is today called superfood. You are importing quinoa from Chile and Latin American countries. We have 8 different types of millets which are better than quinoa. So he's given glory back to the Indian farmers who are cultivating that millets. So that is the approach in every one of the things that he does. Not only bring credit to the government, not only provide services to the people, but give credit to everybody. The one last example I like to tell before you. What is the profile of people who get Padma Awards nowadays? And how was it earlier? We don't know any of them. They're picked up from the hinterland, some corners of the country, but they are great achievers themselves. But we didn't have the time or the means to recognize them. We didn't know how to locate them. But Modi ji has a team which locates every one of them, verifies them for the contribution that they've done. Not only gives the award, but after that speaks about them, or before that speaks about them in Mann Ki Baat. All of us get to know, oh, really, in my village, this person did this. There's one man who's broken the mountain and laid roads because his wife couldn't get a hospital treatment in time. Today, that village has road. There's one lady who's an ordinary housewife but elderly, who does her yoga at home, but when you look at her, you see what yoga can do to you, gracefully age. And she is so nimble, her body can do everything. We admire let's say, a film actor who's all rubber and no bones and who does all the dancing. But this woman we wouldn't recognize because we don't bring them out to public. So that's the kind of approach that Modi ji takes, making sure that every common Indian citizen is credited for what he is. Give him his due. Make sure that government works for the people and no false promises. And it tirelessly comes out. And that is why in this book, you see how somebody who has not been in governance can come into governance but also achieve. That's why I keep saying wherever I talk on this book, each chapter gives you a management lesson. Symbiosis has management school. You can always have your students look at any one chapter and say, what's the management lesson you get out of it? That itself will become a compilation of how a leader like Modi in 2022 could win the trust of our people that I'm here, don't worry. Yes, COVID, yes, lockdown, we have to take care of you. But I also will take care of the poor. I'll give them food, I'll give them money. But I'll ensure vaccines are made in this country. I'm not just going to wait for vaccine to be imported. India produces vaccines. You are in Pune, this place produces vaccine. So the trust with which he led from the front, today you have international write-ups which says how India managed COVID and how it came out economically and even having delivered more than 1.8 billion doses of vaccination. You must have seen in the papers today, the Roche group of pharmaceutical manufacturers, ROCHE. That family, 2 of their representatives who are in Delhi have given interviews. It's astonishing, it's stunning the way in which vaccination has been delivered for the common people of India. I'm not saying it. Medical, pharmaceutical companies, owners whose family has the right over that Roche brand of medicines. He's saying, stunning. Delivery is the story. You can give 1,000 promises. Have we not heard Garibi Hatao? Have we not heard Pani, Peene ka Pani, potable water? But all that is getting fulfilled now. Because here's a man who's dedicated for the country. He's dedicated completely for this country. And it is therefore my little suggestion that each one of you all should read the book. Borrow it from your library if you don't want to buy it. But it is worth reading. You'll know what kind of lessons are there for people who wish to come to public life, or who wish to say, at least in my childhood, I had still a lot of memory in my parents, or that generation which spoke about freedom fighters, what kind of sacrifice they did for us to get independence and all that. Now, you're all very far removed from 1947, and many of your parents probably don't have a first-hand experience of some of the freedom fighters. But that is the kind of motivational leadership that you can understand from this book of Prime Minister Modi. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
धन्यवाद निर्मलाजी. आता आभार प्रदर्शनाचा कार्यक्रम होईल. सर्वांना विनंती आहे, आभार प्रदर्शन झाल्यानंतर वंदे मातरम होईल. कोणी हॉल सोडायचा नाही. महेंद्रजी.